G'day, mate. Welcome back to Factorio with me, Jetty. We're in episode 100, and I figured I'd do one last base tour. I'd do one last base tour where I've actually rolled back the save to when a base existed, because, yeah, as of episode 99, the base sort of didn't exist anymore. So, we've done a rollback of the save, so I've actually got something to tour. At the same time, I do need to thank every single one of you guys for watching this series, coming along for the ride. It's been a great lot of fun. I've really enjoyed the fact that the biters have dictated my gameplay rather than me dictating what's going to happen next. In saying that, I do have a new series. It's going to be starting, this goes out Wednesday, Thursday. I'm not sure, I don't have a calendar in front of me, but we will have a new series starting up on the weekend. It's going to be a brand new series, and it's going to be about celebrating you guys, because the channel just hit 5,000 subscribers, which means a new series is going to be out there to really celebrate what you guys have done for the channel. The fact that you click that subscribe button, you come back and watch the videos one after another. So yeah, celebrating you guys. So I do recommend that you haven't clicked subscribe already, you should take a moment. I'll pause, I'll wait for you. Click subscribe. We'll just stand here and shake our head in disgust until you do. And whilst you're there, you can click the like button. So, first off, let's go through some of the all stats for this base. So, this base actually ran for 96 hours. So, I'll run the time command right now. So, 3 days, 18 hours, 31 minutes. It's actually about 3 hours past that because I loaded save 96 and a half. So we're a little bit ahead of that when the series actually ended, but it meant for like 99, 100 episodes, you guys have, well, I've been playing this game for 96 hours, and you guys have probably watched 80% of the content. Well, 80% of the content was recorded and available for you guys to watch. It's probably more accurate. It's one of the things I really pride myself on. I love the fact, I pride myself in the fact that if we're doing, like, just building smelters one after another and after another, I try and keep the pace in the game moving fast enough that we just don't get a jump cut and, oh look, suddenly there's 10 smelters just being pre-built. I try and keep the pace and everything moving so I can do a lot of that stuff that is somewhat boring, but that's okay. I've probably got something I need to explain to you guys or talk to you guys about, which we're going to do whilst I'm currently building smelter blocks or something like that. Anyway, with that said, let's go through some of the all stats. So, we're going to go through the all stats. We did 78, well, with productivity. So we did 90 million copper and 76 million copper plate, which is a lot. An awful lot. Not as big as some of my biggest bases, but still a lot. We did get 69 million green circuits, so I'm pretty sure we got that 20 million green circuit achievement a couple of times over. We did get like 26 million coal. Is a lot of coal, but we were running on burnable power for a long part of the series, along with a lot of charcoal, like a lot of charcoal. We do have 5 million chitin fragments, which then need to be combined into the bigger and better chitin parts, along with like 2.4 million raw biter steaks and 2.1 million bones. For some reason, only 2 million enriched bones. Oh, okay, because we were just burning bones originally before I found out we could combine the bones with the meat and reprocess it and get a bit more fuel out of it. 1.3 million 238. Just some interesting numbers, like, yeah, 687,000 biter brains. That means, whether you like it or not, we actually killed 687,000 biters. At least, and we picked up their pieces. Like 378,000 of the actual chitin itself. 341,000 shiny rocks. That's a lot of shiny rocks. What's that? Titanium, okay. Prod mods is the other one I really want to stop and look at. 63,000 uranium wall. Prod mods, so productivity module 3, 44,000 of them. 21,000 speed modules. That's actually a lot lower. Normally it's the other way around. 26,000 rocket parts for 260 roughly rockets. Again, a lot of rockets for a base that I wouldn't consider to be a mega base. It was a It was a large base, but it was not a mega base. 8.5 thousand laser turrets. I wonder how many flamethrowers are in here. There we go. 3.9 thousand flamethrowers. 3.3 thousand laser turret Mark IIs. That's speed 4. Where's speed 5 and 6? That's 5. There we go. Productivity module 6, 428,000. 428, no thousands, just 428. That's still a lot, considering I think each one of those costs like 150 prod mod 3s to make one of these. They're quite expensive. And speed module 6s, 147. That's still a good amount. What other interesting stats do we have? 100 nuclear reactors. There you go. That's probably it. Oh, 29 power armor Mark IIs. There's a couple of power armors floating around the map. And then just odds and ends, all the different tanks we made, the BFG, the different targeters, all that sort of stuff. And 1 power armor Mark III, which is the one I'm wearing. 1 unnamed item Necro Fireball Cannon. I think we made a bit more than one of them, but okay. For pollution, again, actually this one I'm going to do on 250 hour stats so you can sort of see the numbers. But yeah, 39 million pollution was absorbed by spawners, or biters. 30 million by spitters. 8 million? 9 million. 9 million was absorbed by damaging trees. 4 million by trees and 2.4 million from tiles. So we can see the tiles being the purple one. Not much because I tended to concrete the world. Trees a little bit, not overly that much. Damaging trees. There was a lot of damaging trees until I pruned the map of all the trees we could find. Most of it went to the biters and the spitters. And boilers are my biggest polluter. Funnily enough, probably because we were using so many items in, yeah, so much biter corpses and biter fuel in to fuel the base, to run the power plants, to keep everything, or to keep the lights on, basically. As for other stats, we got our kill stats. Let's go to all, 205,000 big spitters, 143,000 big biters. So lots of spitters, lots of biters, lots of death all around. The ones I want to see are... so this is the category 9s. Category 9s are like 900 each. Category 11, just 3 of them. 3 category 11 spitters. I know I've killed a couple more between this save and episode 100, but like we didn't encounter that many of them. This is pretty much when they started to show up. And then 8 category 11 biters. So, yep. 1 player kill, so self-nuke. And player deaths. 13. So I managed to nuke myself once. And I did manage to die 13 times. I think a couple were due to trains. There was like 6 or 7 of them when we were testing tanks. I have no idea where the other ones were. But look, considering it's like a Deathworld turned up to like a level 15, I'd call 14 deaths overall pretty good numbers. As for... okay. So, before I do anything else, we're going to jump into editor mode. Purely so I can look at actually how the spawners are. So this is down in this corner, which is, let's go to somewhere that's definitely covered by pollution. Definitely covered by pollution. We can see down here that the category, well, we can see till it scrolls off the page that each increase in biter or spitter consumes 100 more pollution than the level below it. And we can see that like a behemoth biter only needs 100 pollution. In default vanilla, it's 400 pollution for a behemoth. In Deathworld, it's 200 pollution. I've then brought it all the way down to 100, which means something like a category... Let's go with a category 5 biter. Category 5 biter requires 200. Normally it'd be 800, but more importantly, something like the category 10, mine's set to 700. In vanilla, it would be 2,800 pollution to get one of those guys to pop out. This is one of the reasons why it was as bad as it was. I do know that the things that took me down in the end was not knowing what a level category 11 looked like. That's a 10. That's a 10. Let's show me some 11s. So, having a category 11 with 100% explosive resistance, meaning any nukes just bounce off the damn thing, and 105 laser resistance, is definitely one of the things that brought me down. I did not realize that they go over 100%, and I definitely did not realize that their resistance would go up. Well, over 100% or even up to 100%. I just assumed that laser at 60, 90 would end up becoming 70, 95 maybe. 95 possibly. Not 105 where the biter's actually healed if you shoot them with laser damage. At this height, really, the only things that do affect them is fire and physical. So this is one of the reasons towards the end I was trying to get sniper towers up and running, because they are one of the few physical damages that you can do that sort of still scale at this sort of end. We do get, where's a category 15? Category 15, you know, we're now talking about immune to electric. Well, heals from electric damage, heals from explosive damage, fireworks, heals from lasers, and then more than half the physical damage is just cancelled out. And that's only a level 15. Biter Hell went all the way up to a level... Hang on. A level 20. Just consider that for a moment. How big that is and how much you have to deal with it. Can I even get your hitbox? Remove everything that's in my way. I want to get to this biter's hitbox. Oh, I found it. Nope. That one. So, this guy at a category 10 is 160%, 160% electrical, 170% explosive, 32% resistance to fire, 240% resistance to lasers, and 90% to physical. And the guy does 5.9 million physical damage. His spitter counterpart is just as... Can I... Fine, I'll put it over here. The spitter counterpart is just as bad, except now he does, like... Area of effect size, 1.75 tiles. So the splash hasn't got any worse, but his damage is 4 million acid damage per shot, with a damage over time of 24 million acid damage over 32 seconds. Like, if this acid hits anything, it's dead. It is extremely dead. Yeah, these are what were coming in the future. At the end of the day, we had no chance of winning. If a category 11 was going to give us problems, a category 15 was definitely going to be too much. There are weapons that can keep them back. The BFG shoots. It shoots. I can't see what it shoots in this view. The BFG, which is what I was firing through from my own cannon, did electrical and fire damage, and hopefully it would do enough fire damage that the electrical healing shouldn't hurt, or shouldn't hurt too much. On top of that, there was, and we did have this unlocked, a status field generator, which it won't tell me in this view. Basically slows down the speed of biters in its area. Would have been very, very handy to have a couple of these get down, along with the force cannons. The force cannons basically have a pushback. So if we'd armed our walls with all of these, with a whole bunch of sniper towers, maybe with some rocket turrets as well, shooting fire rockets, possibly, we might have survived. But look, at the end of the day, it was a done deal, right? This series was going to end. It was going to end in a ball of flame. As for the actual base tour, well, actually, going back 2 steps. So, I upgraded the biters at the start of episode 97 and made them more nasty, and also installed Rampart at the same time. Had I just done one or the other, I think we probably would have survived a little bit longer. I think doing the 2 of them at the same time was me getting a little bit too cocky, and a well-timed accident, probably, because it means that now we can move on to a new series. Because although I love fighting biters as much as the next person, I did not want to spend the next 30 episodes just doing defenses, because that's pretty close to where we were getting to. Actually, speaking of defenses, I want to just do this really quickly. Oh, on top of that, I did need to... I'm just looking at my notes. Console commands. So I used a whole bunch of console commands during this playthrough to do lots of things, like to change these time, destroy, and pollution factor to make things harder. I turned up the group size. We covered this when I was trying to use this change map settings mod to actually change some of these settings. They're a little bit harder to get to, or to visually change them so you guys could see the changes as we were doing them. And it kept complaining that I'd already set the settings far too high. So a couple of these settings, you know, had to be modified to make things a little bit easier. Then I had to turn back up with console commands after the fact. Because like I had expansion sizes where 100 biters, 100 to 50, and I think the max is 20 and 50. So that sort of stuff. Changing how much pollution is absorbed by trees and tiles. Normally it's 100% for a vanilla game. I think it's 50% for a Deathworld. The attack cost modifier, like I said, normally a Deathworld's 50% or 0.5. I've halved that again and brought it down to 25. Damage to trees, I think I dropped them as well. Like I really, can I turn that on actually? No, don't worry about it. So yeah, I really cranked things up. That, and with the use of mods to go well beyond a behemoth biter, because behemoth biters are behemoth biters are here. They're pretty boring. We went category 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Well beyond what you'd normally have. On top of that, the other thing that I think really brought me down is, we'll go down to this wall, and I should have had this wall, all these defensive walls, as their own robot network. With, you know, some sort of pass-through chest, so when repairs needed to be made, a bot was actually being signaled from somewhere inside this network to come do the repairs, rather than potentially from the other side of the map. Because there were times when things were dying, when things should have been replaced a lot faster than they were. I really should have had just normal roboports along the front lines, and had a separate robot network for every single wall. I shouldn't have been relying on one giant robot network, because you always bring the chance that, you know, this wall that needs a repair pack, the repair pack's ordered from all the way over here at this robot network. So, actually, speaking of repair packs, production. Oh, how many repair packs did we go through? 411,000 repair packs. Yep, that's how you know it's a Deathworld. So, base tour. General base tour. Look, the base, because of the way this series is run, because I was always under the threat of biters, the biters and the base dictated how a lot of this base was set out. So we don't have a nice clean bus. In fact, a lot of times we were sort of shoving things in wherever we could. because we had walls on all four sides to try and keep the biters out. And then as I teched up, we could move the walls further out. We could get a bit more room to build. And then sometimes we put that space to good use, other times we didn't. So this is really the starting spot. We had our starting iron, our starting coal, our starting copper, and our starting stone, which is completely gone by this stage because we used pretty much all of it to make walls. We do have starting iron, starting copper. That's these two, which 184,000 iron. That's a good number. Could have been better. Could have used more. But yeah, starting iron, starting copper, secondary iron that we started using for other things. We have our stone furnaces, which again, like, 100,000 brick out of one furnace is a lot. Coming up to the two unupgraded, never changed wall assembly machines. So these, this guy's pumped out 175,000 wall. This guy's pumped out an easy 15,000 wall. We've done a lot of wall in this series. Then we have our next three smelters being copper, copper, iron. These guys are designed to run into a green circuit build. Not quite 100% ratioed, but close enough. And then we finally have our steel build. This is really what you need to get a base up and running. You need a couple lanes of iron, a couple lanes of copper, some steel, you're good to go. We have red-green science, nothing too special here. Obviously, they've been upgraded since with modules and beacons, but they're in pretty much their original starting location. Then we have military science. Military science, of course, requires yellow ammo to go into armor-piercing ammo to feed back into the loop, along with grenades. Grenades is one of those things that we got up and running fairly early. And we also took our very first chance to use some of the mods in the game. So we have this, which is monster bodies. So small, medium, large, and behemoth biters all drop some sort of corpse on the ground. And we can collect that with some of the different mods. And we can burn up those monster bodies either straight into something like a boiler, or a boiler to go into a steam engine, or straight into a furnace to give us fuel. So it's just like a alternate source of coal. And when we actually burn them directly in a furnace rather than using them as the fuel icon, so if we're burning them directly, we turn 128 or whatever, however many megajoules are in the monster body, straight into coal. So in the case of a behemoth monster body with 128 megajoules worth of fuel divided by 4 for coal, we'd end up with about 32. We'd end up with 32 coal per behemoth monster body. So this was a really good way that we started burning off some of the extra biter parts. And of course, with all that coal, I promptly turned it straight into grenades because I thought it would be fitting to throw biter corpses, or use biter corpses to make the item that throws at biters that kills the biters. Just found it a little bit poetic. Up here we have we had what was our green circuit build is right here. It's since been ripped up because we're now doing it all off-site. We also have, going along the bus, going early game to late game, we have, actually our very first build along here was engines plus chemical science, and in this area, which has now been ripped up, we also had red circuits. So this was everything we needed to get chemical science up and running. Because the very next thing I chased for was robot frames. Robot frames were really, really important in this playthrough, purely because I was trying to defend and build and cope with everything at the same time. Having robots up and running to just lay down belts, duplicate smelter builds, upgrade things, that made such a difference. So I rushed straight for robots. After we got robots up and running, the logical assumption was to come back and do utility science, purely because it just required low density structures. It required blue circuits, which we had to make a build for, which I'll cover shortly, and that gave us high-tech science. On top of that, we did come down here to our oil build that got upgraded and upgraded and upgraded. We were getting explosives out, mainly to make explosive cannon shells to make artillery in the long run, but at the same time, we got our production science run. So our production science is down here. It's a little bit oddly shaped, but that's sort of the design to keep it as compact as possible, because that was really, really important in this map, trying to keep things as compact as possible, because at one stage we did have a wall literally right here. You can see this dead straight power pole line. That's where a wall was living at one stage. We were using stone down here, and we were using a lot of this free space to actually turn the alien ore that we're finding on the ground from killing biters into stone to create brick for our electric furnaces. So again, we were just starting to recycle the corpses that we found on the ground. From that one, we already had utility science up and running, so eventually, long term, the red circuits got pulled out to replace with basically all the parts we need for rockets to fly off to space and get us more and more research. The refineries, nothing too special. We were sort of cramped in, like I said, hard up against this tile. Everything to the left of me didn't exist because this was a wall, and it's all been added after the fact. You know, it's more cracking, it's rocket fuel for the silo, all that sort of stuff. Up here, we do have our main warehouse. So our main warehouse was one of those few blueprints I've actually pulled from my previous game. Because honestly, most warehouses I just build by hand. I build by hand every single series because I'm never happy with them. There's always something that can be tweaked or improved or anything like that. And this series, I knew I'd be in a little bit of a rush, so I just pulled the blueprint from last series, dumped it straight in here. If you are curious and you want a copy of this blueprint or anything that you've seen on this map, there will be a map download down in the description. I'll probably put up this episode, so it'll be 96.5 rather than episode 100. Oh, actually, I'll put up, say, when I'm done with this episode. So it'll be episode 100 when we're done here. But yeah, you're going to miss whatever happened in 97, 98, 99, which was basically the base blowing up. Not a lot of improvements happened over those 3 episodes. So yeah, we had our workshop in here. At the same time, I started putting outside the workshop all these little things that I needed above and beyond. A lot of them from Factorio Extended, like, you know, bigger and better chests. We had Robot Mark II into Robot Mark III. What else? All the power armor equipment, because normally I just handcraft enough I need for me, myself, and I. And that's it. But it turns out a lot of those components are used either in tank armor or even in crafting recipes, like one of the trains. Oh, look, this train. This train actually requires you to have a power armor as part of the recipe of the Battle Locomotive Mark III. That's really expensive. So, continuing down the list, if I can walk through here. We had our blue circuit build. This has obviously been modified over time. It went from a straight build with prods 1s and like 8 machines all the way up to a fully beacon, fully prod modded assembly of blue circuits. Of course, this being fed by green circuits, which is happening off-site, which we'll get to shortly. We've got 2 copper booster builds to run down in our low-density structures because they eat copper. And then we have the Great Goop Sorter. So this is the Great Goop Sorter up here. It brings in all the different types of... Can I see a dead biter somewhere? Nope. Okay. That didn't help. Where are you guys under attack? Can you guys, like, come say hello? Hopefully that's enough to have somebody come forward and die and us have some actual biter goop we can talk about. Nope. Nope. Nope, nobody really cares. This was the other problem we had. We just had... Biters became a little bit stupid. Oh, that's another category 11 who is under constant laser fire and will heal. Okay. We're just going to ignore that problem and move on. Alright, so as I was saying, this is the Great Goop Sorter. It would bring in all the different types of goop, in this case being landmines that just went through the thing. It'd bring in all the different types of goop, and it was sorted. So to sort out the worm bodies, it would then sort out the behemoth bodies. Worms. 1, 2, 3, 4 worms. Then the behemoth bodies, then the big and then the medium biters and take them all over to our necromant sorting facility. So this just processed all the biters as they came in. Ripped out their brains, their bones, their flesh, and their chitin straight off their back, and then brought this in through here to process. And this is like a couple of assemblers for every different type of biter that we had in the game, along with, we've even got some wherever they've gone, for small biters, medium biters? No, just small biters and small spitters. Over here we had the chitin. As said, the chitin fragments we could actually chip back together into a full piece of chitin by using some wood glue. So that's what this assembler was. Over here we had bones and meat combined into enriched bones. So the enriched bones, as they fly up this belt, could actually be burnt in the smelter for charcoal. Charcoal is just another fuel source. So we were creating all over the map more and more fuel sources, which we could run through the map and burn off in as many steam boilers as required to keep the lights on. So this was all about monster recycling. On top of that, the brains were actually required up here to have their DNA sequenced to spit out to the machines, because they actually required for research. And we had whatever brains were being left over, which was a lot of them, being converted into alien poison and alien protein. The protein, obviously, we're cracking into yet more poison, a substantial amount of poison, actually, which we were then tipping. Here we go. There's definitely some goop passing through now. We were then using our poison tip bullets to send them back to the neighbors and see how they felt about the poison tip bullets. So that's the left-hand side up here. On the right-hand side, we have alien ore 1, 2, 3, and 4, basically. And again, a giant sorting system, just pulling out the different types of alien ore and running them into a couple of basically transmutation buildings. So we'd take in one alien ore and get out one piece of stone, and we'd just be able to convert the alien ores into whatever resource we required. In our case, a whole bunch of stone, one to use in the base, and at the same time, basically to burn off the excess and make it into brick, to then later on as the game progressed, make into concrete, to then later as the game progressed even more, turn straight into refined concrete. And we use that refined concrete over the whole map. You might notice that the whole map has this dark grey border all the way around, because we were slowly filling in every tile we possibly could with concrete. Over here we have our Covrex, well, our uranium process. So as I said before, we were using whatever alien ore we could to turn into something that we could use to craft and build the base up. So we were and still are converting alien ore 3. Maybe it's just alien ore 4 now. Alien ore 4 into uranium. Oh no, there's alien ore 3 coming in on the belt. So alien ore 3 into uranium. We're going to use that uranium ore to then spit into our use that alien ore to run into the centrifuges to then separate our shiny rocks from our dull rocks and fill up basically every shiny and dull rock chest we possibly could. As you can see, we're running a supremely large Covrex process. This thing is really designed to spit out basically a full purple belt of shiny rocks as fast as possible. Well, half a purple belt's worth of shiny rocks. It's designed to really scale things up. This is why we built 2 of them, because if you put 2 of them together with a half lane each, you get a full lane's worth of output. So we have a lot of shiny rocks in this system. And we found out later on during our playthrough we could actually use the alien artifacts and a little bit of uranium-235, so the shiny rocks, to turn them into iron copper with a chance of getting your alien artifact back. So this became the next really big massive build, where we were taking a lot of active provider chests. Where the hell did they go? There they are. Okay, can we empty that, fill that, Empty that. Fill. Empty. Fill. And then hopefully, yeah, we can see the iron side has kicked in. We were basically pulling out all the copper copper and iron we possibly could, running through smelter blocks to create green circuits, which of course were coming back down this belt and being fed pretty much solely into blue circuits. We were splitting off it a few times to run stuff in the base, but a large majority of it comes into our it comes into some part of the base, like any part of the base. But most of the green circuits are going into blue circuits. Lastly, we have our latest expansion. As we grab more territory, we expand it up to the north. In the north, we did the logical thing you need to expand more of the base. We brought in a large source of copper and iron, ran it straight through smelting blocks to make lots and lots and lots and lots of green circuits. In fact, these guys, now they've actually got productivity module 6s in there, they're taking in 26 iron and pumping out 62 green circuits. So that's an awful lot of green circuits, which we're using to keep the lights on to make the red circuit build run. At the same time, we're taking all the excess and running them into blue circuits, which is keeping the blue circuit build fairly well going as well. We're also using a whole heap of the red and green circuits to make heaps and heaps and heaps and heaps of productivity 1, 2, and potentially 3, but lots and lots of productivity modules. Finally, we have our front base defenses. So our base defenses really came in two different varieties. One was our earlier attempt where we're still using lots of guns with ammo, which funnily enough is probably the better defense given this mod set. So down here we have lasers, which obviously work perfectly fine unless you get a biter that's immune to lasers. On top of that, we have a heap of fire turrets, like heaps and heaps and heaps and heaps of flamethrowers. The idea of the flamethrowers is they're going to cushion anything that comes into the base. As you can see, he is definitely healing right this second. Yeah, there's just no good way to kill these guys with lasers. But yeah, we had fire to keep, well, a lot of the biters killed off. On top of that, we had minigun turrets. Minigun turrets are firing the poison ammo. Main reason I stuck with poison ammo is not one single biter has any sort of resistance to poison. They do to explosive and they do to physical, but poison damage, in theory, they take the full amount of damage. So that was something pretty important and one of the reasons I stayed. On top of that, we have these pickup towers. These pickup towers are the ones that actually, like a radar, go and pick up the goop from in front of the enemy lines, well, in front of our lines. So that pickup tower, that pickup tower. So when this pickup tower finishes scanning, whenever that is, it'll actually pick up all this goop that's on the ground, shove in the building when you use loaders to unload it and put it onto this belt like this one just did. And we're going to run that ore through the Great Ore Sorter and do something important with it. On top of that, I actually have a second belt behind here because we had so much goop being created that one pickup tower wasn't nearly enough to keep up with it. Goop Sorter. Oh, okay. So this was our first rendition of a wall. Lots and lots of guns, lots of lasers, lots of fire. Our second upgrade to our walls were the ones in the north, where honestly I got a little bit more lazy. I was bringing in just lasers and flamers, which is fine until you go up against something that is completely immune to... that's a biggin. There I am. Nope. Okay. Maybe I just saw the ends of the biters and thought it were legs. Alright. Yeah, this one was lasers and fires, which was more than enough early on to keep things under control. And then finally, I think it's built. No, it's not built. Finally, our last attempt was just a solid wall of flamers, just back to back to back, to hopefully keep the biters at bay. We were using these fireball towers, but turns out they do pretty much as much damage, if not more damage, to our walls than what our what the biters are actually doing. So they might not have been the best idea. What else do I have to cover? uranium mine, extra copper, lots of free space currently, but not really enough to do what I want to do. And I'm pretty sure that's it for the series. Like, it has been a really, really good series. I've really, really loved playing this series. I really hope you guys have loved watching the series as well. And yeah, with that, I think I'm going to give you a final reminder that you should really, really, really subscribe to the channel. Otherwise, you're going to miss out on the next series, which is going to be different, epically different, really going down the Factorio extended rabbit hole, and we're going to be building something very, very big to do things very, very quickly. And with that, I'm going to leave it there. So thank you guys so much for watching. Do hope you've enjoyed this episode, this series, everything about it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Click the subscribe button, click the like button, and I'll see you guys on the weekend for the brand new series. All right, with that said, I'm out. Oh, no, that's it. Yep, that's it. All right, I'm out. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you in the next one. Bye.